Welcome back to Cyber Defense TV. I'm your host, Gary Malevsky, and the publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine. I have a very special guest today, sitting in the hot seat, the CEO of SQLpower.com, SQL Power, Randy Reiter. Randy, welcome.
Thank you, Gary. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, it's kind of easy to figure out what we're up to here, except the power part, but you guys are powerful. SQL. We're talking about the database.
Yes, SQL is the programming language that all developers worldwide use to query, update data in a relational database, such as DB2, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, Informix, etc.
And MySQL or MySQL?
Well, MySQL, of course. MySQL, PostgreSQL, those are all heavily used database technologies.
So I go to privacyrights.org. I see there's 11.5 billion records breached today. I talk to all these different cybersecurity companies, and they say, I protect the packets, I protect the payload, I protect the network, I protect all these things. Nobody, but you and maybe one other player, say, I protect the database?
Yes, exactly.
Isn't that where all the records are stolen?
It is. That's where all the confidential data is. It could be medical records, it could be tax records, it could be records that have a military significance, etc.
You were telling me earlier that you had some cool technology or ideas on improving database in their speed and performance, and that kind of was the progenitor to where we are today with SQL Power.
Yes, our company over the last couple of years has been monitoring all the database technologies that I mentioned using non-intrusive network sniffing technology. So with that, we can sit on a host anywhere in the network, and we can capture every SQL request going to that database instance with its end-user response time. So historically, companies have used our product to improve the performance of their database server, because many of these database applications have to have a sub-second response time, or the business is impacted. Also, companies historically have used our products for auditing reasons. That is, to identify situations where any party is modifying data or changing permissions in the database, etc. With the advent of what's occurred on the cybercrime issue over the last couple of years, we've now enhanced our product to do real-time analysis of the SQL activity. So over the course of the years where we've deployed our product, we have analyzed and monitored databases that have 20,000 users. They might be executing 15,000 SQL requests per second. They might be servers that have 2 CPUs or 64 CPUs, but we can non-intrusively sniff all that SQL activity. So in terms of preventing cybercrime or cyber theft of confidential database data, what we do is we take this foundation that we have in network sniffing, and we analyze all the SQL activity for a business day or a business week. And surprisingly enough, SQL activity against a database instance is very predictable. You will always find that there will be about 2,000 to 20,000 unique SQL queries being submitted to that database server over time. So once you have that information, what we can do is we can do an analysis, and we can identify those unique SQL statements that perhaps, now there might be 2,000 and 20,000, but they may be running 100 million times a day. And what we can do is we can analyze all the IP addresses they were sent from, the quantity of data, every SQL request sent back to the clients on the database system, and then in real time, actually within a few seconds, we can detect a situation when an anomalous piece of SQL was sent to the database server. Now, I'm using this term SQL loosely, but what I'm really referring to is a SQL query.
So SQL queries. Anytime someone moves a piece of data from one point to another, we would hope it's encrypted. Sometimes it's not, but they're moving the data by making a query, calling a database with a function call, and saying, give me that data, which I may present in a web browser, or I may ask for data from a user and bring it into the SQL database. An example would be, I'm an e-commerce website, and I'm asking for your name, address, and credit card, like Amazon.com.
Exactly.
And that goes off in a database somewhere in the cloud, and a good hacker might notice a vulnerability in the version of SQL Server that they're running and exploit it and pull those records out maybe even before they got encrypted. And now I've stolen, 100,000 or 1 million credit card records. You are eavesdropping on that SQL query traffic, not normal network traffic, right? Not the TCP/IP stack, but the SQL queries, and you're saying there's a little bit odd behavior here. let's alert someone, or can you actually block them from stealing the records?
We can actually terminate the session. If we see that a client session has submitted SQL activity to that database instance that's never been observed before over the last 12 months, we can identify that situation and actually kill that session within like a second.
What SQL platforms do you deploy with?
We deploy with Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, Informix, Sybase, DB2.
So pretty much anybody who's running a database, you have kind of what I'm calling the intrusion prevention system for the database waiting for them, already available today.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
So SQL Power, they're going to go to sqlpower.com?
Yes, that's correct.
This is anything else you want to share with our viewers?
It's a very exciting time, and we're looking forward to the future.
This is phenomenal. So I have to tell you, there are all different companies looking to stop a breach, whether it's in email, it's in traffic, it's in the cloud, it's identity and access management. But the root cause analysis is in one place, the database. And sqlpower.com has an answer for that problem. I think this is a phenomenal company. Check them out. See if you can get a trial of their system. It's software, it's rapidly deployed, and it's affordable. So this was a great interview. Thank you so much. And come back next time to learn even more at cyberdefensetv.com.